International Women's Day next week, we wanted to speak to a truly inspirational woman. Someone has helped transform both business and show business in this country.
I'm Debbie Moore, founder and owner of one of the biggest and best-known dance centres in the world, Pineapple Dance Studios here in the heart of Covent Garden. I opened the business in 1979 when disco fever was at its height. I left grammar school in Manchester at the age of 15 with no qualifications and planned on being a typist. But winning a modelling competition thankfully changed all that. I moved to London, I modelled during the day, and I danced in a Covent Garden dance centre at night.
And then one day in 1978, was noticed they were closing. It was terrible, but suddenly I thought, here's an opportunity. And so I found an old pineapple warehouse, and that's why it's called Pineapple. And I just say, thank God it wasn't a banana warehouse.
Debbie Moore, OBE, the founder of Pineapple Dance Studios, not Banana Dance Studios, but Pineapple Dance Studios and clothing range. The first woman to launch a PLC on the London Stock Exchange is here with us in the studio now. So, Debbie, I'm so glad that we had this opportunity to look at your incredible career. And did you always want to go into business? Was that what you always wanted to do?
No, of course not. You know, I sometimes think I'm a total imposter, really. You know, being the first woman to go public. I mean, it took a model from Manchester with a dance studio. It just didn't seem right somehow, but it happened. And the main reason that I did that was because I was getting lots of dancers from America, from New York City Ballet. All wanted a pineapple in New York. And I said, surely you've got one bigger and better. But they hadn't. They really hadn't got an open dance centre. So that was the reason. I'd borrowed enough by this time from the bank. And so that's the reason I went public, was to open in New York and to expand the clothing side.
And then you sort of opened back up this dance studio that other people didn't think would work. So what was it about you that was determined to make Pineapple work, a dance studio work in London?
I think that, you know, if we just go back a little bit, when I was modelling and I married a photographer, you know, the cliche. We were the, you know, Shrimpton and Bailey of the North. And we even did a programme called Model Couple. And anyway, one day when I got married at 19, and when I was 21, he ran off with a 17-year-old. And it broke my heart totally. And I piled on weight. This sort of shock, heartbreak made me have an underactive thyroid. I put all this weight on and was going to be on drugs for the rest of, you know, thyroxine and side effects and everything. So then I found a doctor, a homeopathic doctor, who said that he'd cure me. And so then he said, and weaned me off the drugs and said, the best way to lose weight is dancing. It's the finest form of exercise. Every muscle in your body, it's uplifting. And so he said, find a dance class. It wasn't easy, but there was a broken down dance studio. And this is in the 70s. And I used to go and do Arlene Phillips' class with my mate, Lorraine Chase. And off we went. And suddenly it closed down. One Monday, there was a notice said closing Friday. So this was my light bulb moment. So I rushed and got all the teachers' phone numbers, and we got a petition going to try and keep it open. And then just across the road, and by this time Covent Garden was derelict because the whole fruit and market and the fruit and flower and veg had moved out. So there were all these empty warehouses, and that's, as I say, it was an old derelict pineapple warehouse, so we started. And I wanted to not have a small broken, I wanted a big place so that everyone could come to totally break down those elitist barriers that were around dance and make it accessible to everyone, which is what it is, from 3 to 103 and all.
So what I want to get right is this. So this brute who ran away with a 17-year-old, you were 21, he ran away, you then put weight on, and out of that awful occurrence, you then set up this business, become a multi-millionairess. Have you ever gone back to this chap and said, thank you for running off with the younger woman, you've made me a millionaire, you've made me a top businesswoman?
I actually say, thank you, Rosemary.
Oh, is that the lady's name?
And she worked in the pub in Altrincham. Just, a northern thing.
So Esther mentioned, Debbie, about the fact that, you were a female first in many respects, and certainly listing your company on the stock exchange in a man's world. I just wondered who were your role models? Who were your inspiration at the time that made you realise that I can do this?
The thing is that I was on a mission. There was such a need. There was nowhere now to do a dance class, and I realised how important dance is for your health as well as everything else. And plus, it was the beginning of MTV, of music videos. It was the beginning of shows coming on.
Can I just point out here, yes, that you on the London Stock Exchange, first woman there to float a company, and I believe in that photo next to you is Nigel Farage's father.
Dad, yes. Yeah. The first time I met Nigel, he sort of gave me a hug, and I said, oh, hi. So he said, I've grown up with you in my kitchen. I said, really? So he said, this picture was on the kitchen wall. So he's obviously, younger than me then. That's what he was saying. When he was a little boy, he used to look at
But what you did, and this is what's incredible, and this is why I want to say, what is it, the vision you have? Because yes, there was the 80s, there was dance, there was fame, there was then everybody coming into your studios, whether it was people making music videos, whether it was the West End, whether it was the ballet, everybody coming in. But then dancers were saying, oh, we don't really like our dance clothes, they're not as trendy as they should be. And you were instrumental in bringing in Lycra, changing the whole sort of dance wear and then making it dance streetwear.
Yeah, exactly. So it was nylon, and it was nylon PK, and it was in school uniform colours, leotards in sort of brown and green and maroon. And so I thought, well, instead of this stretchy nylon, what if we get cotton with Lycra? And so I went to DuPont, and they were looking for something to do with Lycra because they'd been using it in corsetry. And so we developed cotton Lycra, and they sent me footage. And so then I made leotards and what were called footless tights, we now call them leggings. And then I thought, well, this is nice for a little skirt. And how wouldn't it be great as a dress? And so it began. We were the first people to use Lycra in outerwear, and of course it's in men's suits. Probably got a bit in yours.
No, he's got the leggings on underneath, Debbie.
Hey, well.
Underneath this desk.
Promise not to tell any. Promise not to tell
anybody. It's a pair of leggings, and he loves doing high kicks. But you, got an honorary degree for all the work you did in this field, for sort of just changing, as I said, the look of the 80s.
Well, it was so I got an honorary master's degree, and it was for really pioneering and kind of revolutionising the way women dressed. And so instead of, skirts with zips and blouse, it was, suddenly this new way to dress. And it was all at the same time of all this happening at the beginning of the 80s. So the timing was all in the success, really.
And you are you're a pioneer. You say that word yourself. You've won that prestigious Veuve Clicquot Award. You've got an OBE from the Queen. You do support women in business significantly. And you wrote a book, How to Support People, and then I read that it was actually redone for the Chinese community and Chinese women. So around the world you've been helping people. But can you explain what it is that you've got to be an entrepreneur?
I mean, it's a sort of overused word in many ways. I just think I was brought up in Manchester, and you know, my dad was a plumber. My mum, you know, worked in a mail order company. There was a great work ethic. You know, I always had a Saturday job. I was usherette in Hale Cinema in the holidays, and I worked in the Wimpy Bar in Stretford, and so I just had a kind of work ethic in me, and then I you know, it was quite hard work modelling. I went all over the world, and I did, you know, mail order catalogues as well as TV commercials and things. But I don't know really. I just think I was always busy, and then I saw this moment, and I had such respect for how hard dancers work.
But is it looking at the need? Is it looking at a need and then giving a response, giving an answer, and then seeing it through?
Yeah.
Have I just said it then? Is that what it is?
Well done. Yeah, you know me better than I know myself. So.
But it's 40 years, isn't it, this year? It's a big year for you this year.
It's 44 years since I signed the lease for Pineapple, but I went public in 1982, so that's 40 years since I did.
Well, I can say one of the most inspirational business women who has carried on being at the front of transformation and change. And I know in lockdown, you put Pineapple online, again, at the cutting edge of what was happening. And that is why she's one of the most successful business people in the country.
And that was Laura, though, I have to say.
And
Laura
that's your
worked
daughter.
very hard to do that, you know, and she's a wheelchair user, and it's very, very difficult for her to have done anything in Pineapple, but to get all these online classes going when we were in lockdown so people could still keep dancing and all the children could.
Lana also is an absolute pioneer for people with disabilities.
Yes, she is.
Well, Debbie, thank you so much for coming in. International Women's Day next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.